So welcome back folks, this is Shardul Gavande from Ace Knowledge, and as in the previous video we have learned theoretically how AsyncTask works. So in this video we'll practically see the working of AsyncTask on our own Android application of Ace Knowledge by focusing only on the feedback form of our application. So here is the design of a feedback form of Ace Knowledge. This is just a demo design, not the actual design, but the functionality part is the same. So we have to do the following steps in order to complete this entire session. The very first is to add the design libraries in a Gradle file, which is nothing but this library file com.android.support design 25 and above versions, because over here in the layout file I have used your text input layout, which requires this particular file to be inculcated in the Gradle file. Without this compile com.android support library, it won't work. So there are many more libraries for Android material design, but as of now we are just concentrating on the basic designing part. More focus will be on the functionality of our code. Okay, so the next part is second is design layout, which we have already done over here, the layout file. Okay, it's ready. Then third is the code and to add the internet permission in the manifest file. So we are pending with this two part, the third and the fourth part. And well, this over here is a URL wherein after entering data over here in the form and on clicking on submit button, it will go to the server's database. So with the help of this DB viewer, we can view it over here, our ID, name, email, message, whatever input we will provide to a feedback form, it will be displayed over here. This DB viewer is basically connects the database of server over here so that it is simple to view. No need to go to the panel, login and then view the database. Okay, so our backend is based on PHP and front end is full on Android and Java. Okay, so we'll check this URL. This is a URL http websyncsolutions.co.in /web service acefeedback.php. Okay, these are the backend processing part done. WebSync solution, as they are our sponsors for Ace Knowledge, so they have provided us with the server part. So let's check this URL in our browser. So on inserting this URL over here on our browser and filling out the parameters as name, email, etc. This is just the testing part to check whether this URL is working or not. Okay, and let's hit enter. So now it will communicate with the server and will get the output as feedback inserted successful or anything. Yeah, you can see it over here, your feedback submitted successfully. This is our output which we get. So this is just basically a message to show that you have inserted your details successfully in your server in your database. So you can see it over here that our details have been inserted over here as our details in the web URL. So it has been stored in our table. Okay, server side table. So now we'll start with the coding part. In our main activity, I've already given the declaration of our GUI components and button reference to created a method submit, as I did in the earlier videos, and have given a reference for this particular GUI components to its layout file. Okay, same with the rating bar, set as rating bar to set text to display the rating bar over there. And now on the on click button, which is a submit button, we have to code in such a way that the values are stored in the server. Okay, so let's start with the coding part. In our on click method, we'll first call the rating we have over here. In the design we can see these two values. First of all we'll see for this radio button and rating bar values to be stored. So let's code for this radio button first. We'll take an int, let's take selected ID to insert that particular, to take the value of that particular radio button which is selected. So we'll code for that radio group dot get checked. For this, how to get values of radio group, radio buttons on user selection, I have a video, so you can just see it out in our Android tutorial for beginners playlist. I think it is about second or third after before this video, so you can check it out for that. It is a separate video which is based only on radio button and rating bars. Radio button, you create an reference, radio button equal to radio group dot find view by ID, and pass that particular selected ID over here. Fine, and we'll write a try catch statement over here, so that if in case any error occurs, so it will catch. And to typecast this particular value as it radio buttons and rating bars, radio button int double dot typecasting into double string dot value of into bracket rating bar. This is for rating bar, as rating bar values are in floating or are in points also, so that is the reason we convert it to double, integer value to double, and dot get rating method to get that particular rating. Okay, and in the catch statement we have to catch that exception as number format exception NFE, the bracket. System will print some message over here, system dot out dot println into bracket, we'll pass it as could not pass, and concatenate it with our object. Okay, so we are done with the radio button part and the rating part. So now we'll do some validations for our design, which is name, email address, and all these things. If the user doesn't enter any of the values, and if he clicks on the submit button, then he will be thrown with an error, as in please enter some values, or please enter your name or email address, whichever fields which are left blank. Okay, so now let's start with the validation part of our edit text, or simply our text box. We'll put a condition as if the name of our first text box or edit text, which is name, if name dot get text, we'll check if name dot get text dot toString dot length, we'll check whether if it is 0, then we must print something which is name dot. Now to set an error, message, we have name, our name of our GUI component, and with the error message with method as set error, and in that we have to pass our error, as we can say please enter your name. Okay, semicolon, and we'll return. Now we are done with if condition. Now else if, as we have multiple parameters over here, so if we will use if else if statement. Else if, again the same. Now it is for, I guess it is for email address now. Yeah, it is for email address now. So for email address we have patterns, so we'll check as if not patterns dot email address. We have a function of email address dot, it will check if it matches with the email address format, which is email address dot our GUI component, again get text dot toString dot matches. Okay, and into brackets, why it is showing error. Yeah, done. It was some extra packet inputted over there. So email address dot set error Again, set error, we'll say as invalid email. So it will basically check the email address pattern whether it matches with the default email address pattern, which is your @gmail.com or yahoo.com, whatever. Your @ should be there in your email address. No different characters apart from @ or hash and etc. So it basically will check with that inbuilt function over here as email address, and if it is not true, then it will show this error as set error in message as invalid email. Okay, so what is the next one? It is a message. It is simply a added text, so we can write it as if in the else if into bracket message dot get text dot to string length equal to 0, then print message dot set error into bracket message as please enter some message. Okay, and we'll return it. Oh, we have not returned it over here. I missed it out. Again, now the last part is this is the text view, this is radio button. Okay, we are done with our all the input parameters. Now let's validate. We have done validation for name, email address and message, but we are yet to do validation for this rating bar and radio button. So now let's validate first for rating bar. We'll use switch case over here to get that particular ID. Switch case, we'll get ID using getID method, and here we'll say case as r.id.rating bar, which we have declared at the very top. Rating bar dot get rating. Okay. Oh, sorry. First we'll declare the case, define the case, and then we'll write it as if rating bar dot get rating. We have a function over here as get rating to get that particular rating value equal to 0.0. We'll initially keep it as 0.0. Okay, by default value will be 0.0, and we'll print, if it is 0.0, then we will print a toast message. Toast is basically used to print a message on your application. So it is, the syntax is as toast dot make text into bracket get application context, comma the message which you would like to print will print as rate us, comma again toast dot length underscore long in bracket complete, and then dot show. Okay, so this toast is basically used to print a message to your on your screen. So we'll see it there, after we run our program. Else, we have done with the if part, we need now else. So in the else part we'll write nothing. Okay, we'll just keep as it is, and we'll break it over here. Okay, so this is done for the rating bar. So now we have to pass this URL, right? We have to take this URL and pass all these parameters to this URL. So we'll copy this URL, we'll declare a string over here, global declaration of a string str URL, and we'll call that particular URL over here. Okay, after the break statement, but inside our method string URL equal to, we'll simply copy this URL and now we will pass those parameters above parameters of edit text, rating bar, all this naming, all this name given to the GUI component will pass it over here in the URL. So for the name we have as name equal to plus, to concatenate it with our text box or simply edit text, name dot get text. Okay, get text dot to string. Okay, so we have to simply pass all those parameters which we have taken it over here. So we have passed the name. Now let's pass the next parameter with concatenation operator. We'll give a name as, let's pass rating, ampersand rating. We need to put it in double quotes or else it will give error. Ampersand, because this is the key. This ampersand, whatever we write in ampersand or simply in the double quotes, these are our key, and this is our value. So key and value. So URL consists of your entire URL and appending to it the key and value. So for rating we'll pass as rating equal to concatenate, we'll pass the value I. We've taken the value I for rating over here. Yeah, so the value stored in I, so we'll pass this I over here. Okay, then next will be our email address. So let's pass our email address, ampersand email equal to plus email address dot get text dot to string. Okay, the next will be feedback. We'll give it as name as ampersand r feedback, which means the radio button feedback. Okay, that will be our application or website, so that your radio button will stored over here. rb dot, it was rb, I guess it was rb, yes it was rb dot get text dot to string. Okay, and the last we have as feedback. So for feedback we have double quotes feed equal to, what was the name of feedback? It was message. Okay, message, so plus message dot get text dot to string. Oh, we forget to put here the ampersand sign. Okay, fine. We have now appended our values to our URL, and now we'll work with AsyncTask. Okay, so let's start with AsyncTask. Our method gets closed over here. So we have to write it over here, AsyncTask. It's outside our method, sorry. Okay, so we'll declare here as public. Let's give name for AsyncTask as submission, class name as submission, extends AsyncTask public class. I forgot to write the keyword class. AsyncTask with the we have over here as in the theory lecture I've told, AsyncTask parameters, progress and result. The parameters which you would provide, the progress in which is in the do in background, and the result which you will see on the post execute method. So we'll select this, and now we are using those parameters. So we want all our input, our processing and output in string format. So I would specify here as string, 3 parameters as string. If you don't want to use these parameters, you can simply write it as void. 3 times you will write it as void if you don't want to use these parameters. Okay, so as we want all in string format, so I would write it as string and open and close curly braces. So here we are getting an error as class submission must either be declare abstract or implement abstract method. So we need to implement some of the methods in order to make our AsyncTask works. those methods are nothing but our pre-execute, on pre-execute, do in background, and on post-execute method. So we'll implement those methods as right clicking over here and clicking on generate and then override methods. So we have our methods over here. We'll implement three methods: on pre-execute, on post-execute, and do in background. Okay, and we'll say okay. So here those three methods are overridden. So now we'll start with the coding part. So in the on pre-execute, we don't need to specify anything. So we'll start with the do in background part. Okay, so in the do in background we need to specify our HTML connection for the server. So first we'll write it, we'll declare a string value with with null, and then we'll return this particular value, and inside that we'll have a try catch statement for our HTTP URL connection. So in try we'll have as URL. This is in order to connect with the server. URL with the object as URL equal to new URL, and into bracket will pass str URL. This string URL is nothing but this URL. Okay, now HTTP URL connection reference is con equal to bracket HTTP URL connection URL dot, to open the connection we have as open connection method. Okay, yeah, it is showing error because we have not yet written the catch statement. So now we'll use this con over here to get that connection, to get and set that. And so we have set requested method to set that particular request of our URL connection. We'll set that method with the help of, we'll use the method as get. Okay, and we'll say con dot connect, and also we have to take a buffer now. So to read that particular lines of line by line code, we'll take as buffer reader to read what we are passing, okay, to the server. So for that purpose, buffer reader equal to new buffered reader into bracket new input stream reader. We'll pass that con over here and get input stream. Okay, and we'll use that value over here which we have declared, so that to store that particular reader, read line. Okay, to read that particular line, and we'll show some message over here as system.out.println. We'll say as that you are logged in or something. We'll say as logged in plus value. Okay, now we have our catch statement over here. In catch we have exception. With object as e, and we'll pass system.out.println system.out.println. We'll pass that e over here. Okay, so this is try and catch statement where we would specify our URL. Now we have done with pre-execute, do in background, and now in the post-execute we would like to send show some message. So that URL is corrected, the string has been passed over here, the data has been sent to the server, and the result we need to pass over here in our post-execute part. Okay, so in the post-execute we'll simply write as toast dot, we'll print a message in the format of toast, toast dot get application context, comma, will print as feedback insert, will print as inserted successfully. Okay, and then comma again toast dot length underscore long, and we'll call that show method dot show. Okay, so we are done with the pre-execute, post-execute, and do in background. So this is how async task works. So now we are yet to do with the async task completion. So before that, we'll pass. We want see in the URL we need if we enter some spacing over here as spacing, so it won't take. We need to add it over here as something called as %20. Okay, so then only the URL takes the spacing part, but in app we have to code for it so that spacing of data is allowed over here. So we'll code for the spacing part so that the first name and the last name can be separately inserted in the database. So for spacing, to allow spacing to be inserted in the database, we have to code something. We have to code for some part. So we'll write our try catch statement over here. Try open and close str URL equal to, we'll take that string URL and we'll replace that using replace all. We'll put here space, comma, and %20, which we would pass in the URL. The same it will automatically pass over here in the application. Okay, semicolon, and again then URL, so that it should allow spacing in the URL. So that is the reason we have to code a bit for that, so that the server accepts the spacing in its URL and also in the database. We'll pass this string URL over here, and we'll print in the catch. We have a catch statement with malform exception, malform URL exception E, and in that we'll print our stack E dot print stack trace. Okay, so this coding is basically for allowing spaces in our URL. Okay, now we are done with the submit button click. We have two buttons over here, reset. So on clicking of reset, all these fields should be cleared off. So let's code for the reset part. We'll create a method over here as public void reset, and in that method we'll write our code. We'll take the reset button ID, the name, reset button name, as we'll declare it as button find view by ID dot ID dot reset. Okay, and we'll set an OnClickListener, set OnClickListener new view, and here in the OnClick we'll write as name all those parameters of the edit of our form, which was our name, email address, message, feedback, rating. All those we need to set it to normal, set it to the normal, or you can say it as set it to blank form. Okay, so name dot, we'll say at set text to double quotes, which means nothing will show over there. Everything will go blank. Dot set text double quotes. Then it was after email address, it was a message, rating, and radio. Okay, it was a message dot set text double quotes. Then it was our rating bar dot set rating to null. Okay, so it would It is showing error. Okay, what it is saying in rating bar cannot be updated, so we have to set a rating to 0. So let's say as 0 0f. Okay, so now we are done with the reset part, and now we have to call this particular method. So let's call this submission and reset. So we'll call that submission over here in our on click view, which is on a submit button. So how to call an async task with the keyword new submission dot execute. Okay, and we'll call this submit and reset button over here. Call as submit in the main method and reset. Okay, so are we done with everything? Declaration, calling, and reset button. This is our sync task. So where we have pre-execute, post-execute, and do in background. In do in background we have all the connection, URL connection, and yes, we have done with. We need to give the permission over here. Let's give, as we are pending with our last part, which is to add internet permission over here. So let's add that internet permission, user permission. As it is server side, we need to add our permission, internet permission to Android. So we have it over here as name Android permission internet. So here we have our internet permission. Okay, so without this, if you don't specify this internet permission, your app won't work, your data will not pass to the server. Okay, so now let's run and see what we get, our result. Okay, so here is our emulator. So now we'll check our application. We'll enter a name Shardul Gavande. We'll enter some wrong email address. Let's check whether the verification part is working or not. We'll enter a Shardul and .com something. Okay, so let's check, and we'll keep this field as blank, and let's check what happens. So it is showing invalid email, and what is this? It shows inserted successfully, and that too without for entering the rest of the details. So there is wrong something over there happening. So I guess, where is our async task? Yeah, our async task is over here. We have called it over. We have called it over here. Okay. Okay, I think so. This is the reason we are getting the error, because it is the async on button click, that is a submit button click on this on click listener. It is directly executing our async task without considering these parameters whether they are fulfilled or not. So let's just remove this async task from here, calling of async task, and let's just paste it after this cat statement, so that it will first check all these fields, and then on clicking it will call this async task. We don't want this async task to be called first before entering all the details. Okay, so now let's rerun and check. So this async task is called over here in this method submit, and this submit method is called over here in the main on the main method. So it's one and the same thing. Okay, so now let's run and see emulator. So here's is our emulator back again. Now we'll type our data, our values. Let's insert Shardul Gavande. Again we'll give some wrong email address, as in hash.com. Now let's check whether it is working or not. On click of submit, it shows invalid email, and it is not showing inserted successfully. That means it was that issue only. Okay, so do remember to call your async task after all your processing or validation part. Okay, so now we'll write the proper email address. Let's give it as @gmail.com. We'll enter a message as hello folks. We'll give rating for app, and we'll click on. So you can see it over here, the 5.0, the rating which we give gets displays over here. See 1, 2.0, 4.0. So yeah, so that is the rating bar functionality, and we'll hit the button submit, and yes, we can see over here in the toast format inserted successfully. So now let's check in our database part. So in our database we can see we have inserted values as name, email address, message, feedback, rating, status, and the created date, which is the backend functionality. So in this way AsyncTask works. We can pass our data to the server from our application. So that's it from this video. Thank you very much, and please do subscribe.